The reporting mechanic inside of Diablo Immortal has been flawed for some time, and it's flawed because it's being taken advantage of by players. Now, I said this when the game came out, when we understood there was going to be Immortals versus Shadows fighting for reign, that this was going to be a very political game. With those politics comes people wanting to gain advantage over others, people getting angry at one another, and parties just disliking one another because they're fighting it out inside of the game. This can cause a lot of problems. And with this reporting feature inside Diablo Immortal, well, it's a way for people to be able to report players that are doing wrong inside of the game. The intent of the mechanic is actually pretty good, but at the end of the day, what happens is players will abuse this mechanic. And in turn, players that this is abused on will have to bear the result of that, typically turning into a ban, a clan name change, or something like that, which messes up their push in the Rite of Exile, trying to be Shadows or in those war areas of the game. I put a video out on this going in a lot more detail last week. If you want to go check it out, it says bans right across the front. You can go have a look at it. It's on the main page of the channel. But today I was hit up over on Discord regarding a joint statement and policy being put in place by players in a server cluster that are actually looking to end all of this dismay. Essentially, when you're in a fight with another clan, if you are upset about what's happening with that clan, or you are mad because you lost, or if someone pissed you off during that battle, you could just tell all your clan to report that player, and they're most likely going to have to deal with a negative consequence from that. This has been, as I said, abused, and the people that put this together are upset with that. They don't like that, and they don't want to see that mechanic inside of the game. So they put together this policy, which I think is actually pretty great. Not only did they put this together for their server cluster, but they are promoting other server clusters implementing something very much the same. I'm actually sure that they would not mind other server clusters utilizing this document, switching out the names to make it proper, so that this can actually be something that's implemented into the game as a whole. It's an agreement. I'm going to be going through it in whole today so that you guys can see what it has to say and why it's actually good for the game. This is something that's going to need to be in place and actually agreed upon for real by players until Blizzard is able to do something to fix the issue themselves. Let's read through this. We, the undersigned clans of the Enigma, etc., cluster group in Diablo Immortal, are aware of the damage effects mass reporting has brought to the simple enjoyment of the game. Unscrupulous players have been using the mass reporting mechanism to cause the suspension of other players, oftentimes clan leaders or officers without proper cause, and usually after the transition of the game into a new Immortal reign. The tactic has negatively affected both Shadows and Immortal clans. This is essentially what we were talking about in that video that I put out last week, explaining how this is working. Apart from its impact on individual players and clans, the weaponization of mass reporting has created an environment of animosity and distrust between and amongst clans in our server. This has fueled baseless suspicions and accusations between players for competing clans to that mass report has become a clan-level tactic for retaliation, especially after the results of Shadow versus Immortal battles. Such suspicions have also contributed to aggressive, tasteless, and toxic behavior in our server's world chat. The problem has many dimensions. Let's dive in a little bit deeper here. First, the developers of the game have done very little to respond to and fix obvious flaws of the mass reporting mechanism. Now, I'm not sure if it's because it's too difficult to deal with, if it takes too much manual labor to deal with, or if it's not something that Blizzard sees as a problem. I'm not sure. I haven't had any word from Blizzard on this. The system has no means of verifying the reports. The system has no means of properly informing the subject of the reports of a specific reason and supporting evidence behind them. Worst of all, the system has no means of immediately rectifying suspensions arising from such baseless reports. So what's happening is you could put in some bogus report about anything, and if there's enough bans that come through, the system, or enough complaints that come through, the system will ban the player, and then the player has to deal with that until the ban is over. There's really no way to pull that back. This has made mass reporting a fast, easy, and anonymous weapon for reprisal. By suspending clan leadership, clans are often prevented from participating in clan versus clan events, resulting not only in complete competitive disadvantage, but also an unjust denial of the basic features of the game. It's true. They're utilizing a feature that the game has in an unfair way, and it's anonymous, so no one could really get in trouble for it, unless if it's able to be seen on the back end where maybe the reporters can actually be held accountable. Second, the competitive nature of the game has given rise to historical conflict and animosity between and among clans in our server. This distrust has made it easy for individual players to take matters into their own hands by using mass reporting, even if not supported by the clan which they belong. This in turn makes it easy for victims of mass reporting to point fingers at opposing clans, even if there is little to no evidence, oftentimes invoking historical conflicts. This is the political element of the game I was talking about in the beginning of this video. Thus, the cycle of retaliation keeps repeating and the length of suspension keeps progressing. Worse than the unethical third parties who take advantage of this distrust to cause further conflict in the server. While we have no control over what the developers do with the problem, we, the undersigned clans of the EVA server, have decided to take a unified stance against mass reporting by eliminating the second cause of the problem, clan animosity. This is what they're saying they're going to be doing. As a policy, we are unequivocally against the use of mass reporting as a retaliatory tool. We are unequivocally against the unfairly punishing individual players and clans due to unfavorable results from clan versus clan PvP. We are unequivocally against baselessly accusing clans of reporting to this behavior. So as a clan and as a server cluster, they are all agreeing that this is no longer going to take place because it's ruining the game for many different players. As a first step, we, the undersigned clans of the EVA server, have created clear channels of communication between and among our leaders and officers. The objectives of this project are create and foster open channels of communication between and among EVA clans to combat inter-clan toxicity and abuse of in-game mechanics that causes undue damage to each clan's peaceful environment of the game and reputation. To eliminate any and all historical animosities and distrust between and amongst clans, and to promote healthy enjoyment of the game under the existing rules and permissible mechanics. So these are the things that they're trying to do, and I think the communication here is a big part of it. Having that communication is what's going to be needed to really be able to talk out the issues rather than just hit the mass report. Now, it goes on into page 2 where we can finish off and see all the clans that had signed. Furthermore, to ensure that such communications start from an environment of trust and respect, we, the undersigned clans of the EVA server, have agreed to the following. Isn't it crazy that for a freaking mobile game, all this has to happen? It's pretty insane if you ask me. We knew it was coming though from day one when we knew this was going to be a political game. Number 1, each clan is willing to wipe the slate clean of all previous conflicts and misunderstandings with other clans and accord each other with a decree of respect and trust. I love this, but let's be honest, that is difficult to do. That is not easy to suddenly say, I hate these people for banning me. Wiping that clean, now I don't hate you anymore, and then that's all gone. It's easy to say, okay, I'll give you another shot. It's very difficult to wipe the slate completely clean. Number 2, each clan is willing to communicate with other clans in good faith without malice. Number 3, each clan is willing to openly listen to the opinions of other clans without engaging in personal attacks. And number 4, the communication channels shall respect the existing relationships among clans and is not intended as a venue to discuss in-game strategies, tactics, and alliances. Finally, we, the undersigned clans of the EVA server, have agreed. 1, remove any prior suspicions of mass reporting arising from historical animosities. 2, to expressly prohibit retaliations due to baseless suspicions and theories from within our ranks. 3, to engage in open dialogue with other clans to address potential sources of distrust and to internally endorse agreed upon statements or policies against mass reporting. And number 4, to punish members who have actively engaged in mass reporting, subject to each clan's internal rules. We are aware this may not completely solve the mass reporting problem. However, we are hopeful that this is a first step to minimize the behavior. All right, we have all of the clans now that have agreed to this, that are part of the server, I guess that are really in the contention or even in the competition of these Immortal versus Shadow interactions. We call on Diablo Immortal developers to help solve this problem by addressing the technical flaws of the mass reporting system. We call on other clans from the EVA server to join this project to weed out unscrupulous players who simply thrive in chaos and conflict, and we call on other servers to follow a similar path. As I mentioned, I really do like this. What we're looking at here are a group of adults that want a fun game environment that doesn't work on cheating and just ugly tactics to pull in victories. So very much like what's being put together here. Not sure how much of the problem it will cause. Obviously, these signed upon clans that we see here at the bottom are going to be in agreement, or at least clan leadership, but it is on the clan leadership at that point to get rid of any of the players that are not in alignment with this agreement. So if I'm a clan leader of any of these groups on this server cluster, and I have players in my clan that do not agree to that, and they will not conform, or they will not follow the rules of this document, those clan players are probably going to need to be gotten rid of, or else the issues are going to continue. That's going to be something that's brought on each clan to make that decision on how they want to handle that. I'm not even a clan leader of my own clan. I have Red October who deals with all of that. But I really have high hopes that this is the start of something bigger that can have that mass report feature inside of the game completely be gone, so that it's not an issue. Clans can compete as they should, and people could really just enjoy Diablo Immortal. I'll be linking this document on Reddit because that's where it lives, in the comments or in the description of this video. So you guys can go take a look. You can leave your comments as well. And if you want to implement something like this inside of your server, maybe you can get in touch with them through Reddit, and you could even have this document or a copy of it to use for yourself. Not sure how that'll go, but those are comms you could have yourself. Check out the link down below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.